kind of random.
What up, y'all? I am Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. This is a video series where I answer some of your questions. Hip hop, sports, movies, whatever. Life. You want some life lessons? You want some lessons in love? Let's get right into it. This is from Drop a Jewel, the homie. Is ghostwriting still taboo in hip hop? Considering Drake and his writers, why is there still a negative connotation when discussing femcs as if they can't write for themselves? I think when you look at the last maybe decade or so, I think the veil has been lifted on ghostwriting throughout the history of hip hop. Like, some people want to ignore it, but ghostwriting has been there, and it's not only been there for the female MC. One thing I think, to me, that was consistent about a lot of the female MCs was every rapper that ghostwrote for them or hung around them or whatever the case may be said that they are capable of writing their own rhymes. But to Drop a Jewel's point, I think that it's become clear that there are men who had whole careers based off of having a ghostwriter, from the beginning of hip hop till now. If we just gonna accept that ghostwriting is a part of hip hop just as much as it was a part of R&B and pop and all these other things, other genres, then why not hip hop? And if we like the records and we choose to ignore the fact that it came from someone else, then why not do the same for the female MC? So I'm with it. Next question comes from Witty Bombshell. Are you afraid the Coming to America sequel won't live up to the original? In the beginning, I think I was kind of shook because there's so many classic moments in that first Coming to America, iconic moments. I mean, just saying a line from the movie, people know what you're talking about, Randy Watson, stuff like that. Say that boy good. Stuff like that, you don't know no Muhammad Ali. I mean, when you think about it, there's a lot to live up to, and I think what I try to do as a moviegoer, especially a fan, is if someone's gonna make a sequel, I try not to think, is this just as good as the original? Is this better than the original? Does it live up to the original? So I'm not really afraid it's going to be whack. I'm more encouraged by the casting because they're bringing everybody back. Everybody's still around. James Earl Jones still around. John Amos is still around. Arsenio, Eddie Murphy. But then the people they've added to the cast makes me think this is probably going to be funny. Like adding, Wesley Snipes and Michael Blackson, like adding these other, I don't know about the Rick Ross part, but adding these other people in makes me think it may be something special. And I remember Eddie said for years, he's not going to do sequels to these types of movies unless the script is right. And I like the Dolomite movie, so I'm encouraged. Your favorite project Large Professor was involved with, not named Illmatic. I think the first Main Source album is probably still my favorite. And it's not even a production thing. I think Main Source's debut album is somewhat slept on in a lot of ways as far as historically. Like, sure, cats from around that time remember it and will mention it, but it just doesn't get mentioned a lot. And I think the variety of records is what I really like about it, obviously being led by Large Professor's pen, because for me personally, I was a fan of Large Professor the rapper before I was a fan of Large Professor the producer. The producer was just like added bonus, whereas I was a fan of him as a rapper back then. So you look at Friendly Game of Baseball, looking at The Front Door, all of those dope records on there. The dude's talking about police brutality, relationships. He got a Posse cut on there. Like, it's just a dope album. And mainly, my main drive, the main reason why I like it is because of Large Professor. Then plus, when you look back at that album cover, man, that album cover is like old school nostalgic. Like, like what are they looking at? I know it's called Breaking Atoms, but man, it looked like it came from another time, like the 70s or whatever. We got 2 questions from the homie Eddie. Who are your top 3 athletes on the mic? This is easy. Allen Iverson, Shaq, Damian Lillard. No, I didn't pick Kobe. Nope. Eddie's other question is, one trend in hip-hop that you wish would disappear and one trend in hip-hop that you wish would return. One trend in hip-hop I wish would disappear is cookie cutter hip-hop artists. Some people refer to them as mumble rappers. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Because not everybody mumbles just because they're newer artists rapping over trap beats. When I say cookie cutter, I mean the minute one artist gets hot, everybody's talking about this other artist, and they're usually brand spanking new. It's like before you get to rev up and really get to know an artist, people have already moved on to another artist who sounds exactly the same, who does nothing different. The only difference is that they're not the same person. As far as a trend in hip hop that I wish would return, I wish producers would get the opportunity more often to have a whole album that they produce with one artist. You know what I'm saying? Really like bring their sound and their skill together with the sound and skill of this artist and really huddle in and make something together. Because I think what happens now is, sure, sometimes it's great when you have various producers on there. Maybe you feel like the production is varied, but not every producer is like a one-note producer. Some producers can really vary their sound, or it'd be good if they were challenged to do so. And I think a lot of times I just kind of be like, I'm just running through records, and sometimes I don't even know who produced what because there's so many cats on the album. So, have you ever passed on a beat that went to someone else and thought, damn? Nope. Because a lot of times when I pick beats, I know whether or not I like it. Now, there's a difference between me liking a beat and me knowing I can write a song to a beat. A lot of times I've passed on beats that I like, but felt like this beat deserves this type of record, and I'm not going to make that kind of record. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I feel like it's better to let that go to someone else who can do it justice. There's plenty of beats that came out that wasn't thrown at me that I wish I had, but I never look back at a beat and say, damn, why did I pass up on it? Because that's like, I don't feel like I can't create on any beat, but I feel like I want to create the best of what I do. And, if I got to pass up on a beat, so be it. Favorite Yankee, Reggie Jackson. I always look back and feel like, okay, well, what was the attraction there? Why him versus another player? And I think for me, it was more so the fact that he was cool, he looked cool, he could hit home runs, and, he was representing New York, and, I preferred those colors, the pinstripes and the Yankees had now, not traditional color. But I think I just thought he was cool, so I just love the fact that, he was hitting home runs in the name of New York City. And, obviously Darryl Strawberry came over, but I think I was more into Darryl Strawberry when he was a Mets player. Yeah, it hurt to say that. But, okay. Your cousin Ill Will, R.I.P. I remember an article back in 2001 when Nas and Cormega were beefing, where Mega said Ill Will used to go get Mega when he had beef with people. Nas took issue with that and addressed it on the radio and said he didn't even like Mega speaking on Will because he's a king watching over him. But wasn't Mega and Nas from the same block, 40 and 15th, 40 and 16th, Vernon? They had the crew, the Goodfellas. Did you see Mega a lot when you would go to QB and hang out with Will, Nas, and Wiz? What are your thoughts about Mega saying Will would ask him to handle his business? Nas says that when people in the bridge had a problem, they would go to Will. What are your thoughts on all of that. I never saw, or at least I don't remember seeing Cormega. I didn't really know him. He probably was around, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, when you talk about me as a kid going to Queensbridge, a lot of that happened in the 80s and in the probably early 90s, like very early 90s, talking like 90 to maybe 92. So it's a good chance, you know, he was probably like right there. But, you know, you got to think about it, man. You got to take off the monikers. You got to take off the albums, the musical history, and you just got to bring it back to block, where it's not Mega, it's Corey. It's not Wiz, it's Mike. It's not Nas, it's not Sia. You know what I'm saying? And it's just regular. So you're not really paying that much attention to those things. I mean, don't get it twisted. My cousin was known to get down, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure I don't doubt what Nas is saying at all. But I also don't doubt what Mega was saying, you know what I'm saying? It's a thing where I don't know about a lot of that, you know, because again, they were the cats that lived there. I come on a weekend, hang out with my cousin, be around his friends, you know, but I'm not getting into the mix of beefs and who went to get who, because a lot of times when I was there, I mean, it was seldom that there was like a problem, you know what I'm saying, and my cousin was involved. It just didn't happen that much. So Neltron 8000, did you ever go to the tunnel back in the day? Back in my day, I went to the tunnel, you know. Said it was originally owned by Harriet Tubman. I've probably been to the tunnel maybe 2 or 3 times back then. The tunnel was really popping when I was in college. A lot of times it depends on if I came home for the holiday or the summer, and me and my friends meet up and we go to the tunnel. And I've probably been there again maybe 2 or 3 times. I remember the last time I was there, I was like, I'm not coming back. Mainly because if you heard the stories, the tunnel was great if there's a performance, if there's just a dope party happening, maybe Funkmaster Flex is DJing or whatever, which was often. But the tunnel was dangerous, okay? And when I say dangerous, I don't mean more dangerous than any club ever. I mean dangerous in regard. You take away the title of the tunnel. If you go into a club as a dude, let's just say as a dude, and it could be as a woman also, but as a dude, because I'm speaking from that perspective, and it's 500 dudes, all from the same projects, on the dance floor. No one's dancing, but they got one chick who looks really good who's with them. If you dance with her, you're a dead man. She come dance with you, you still might be a dead man. That ain't no party to me. I need the ratio of men to women to be evened out. But that was around that was like my last time going there. But the majority of the time I went there was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It had unisex bathrooms, you know, it was this, you know, the it club in New York City at a time. So it was dope to just be in there. But do I have wild stories and all that? Nah. I was broke, so I'm pretty sure if I was popping bottles all crazy and, you know, was in VIP, I have all kinds of wild stories. But now I'm straight in the dance floor and bathroom bar. Dance floor, bathroom bar. That was my circumference around that time. Is there a more important single night in hip hop than the 1995 Source Awards? I really like this one. I do not think so. And a number of things happened there that changed a number of things in hip hop. Changed the lives of a number of artists, how we view some of them, what they did musically. It wasn't all about just the Death Row beef and stuff like that. Like, think about, you know, everything that was there. You know, Tupac's in jail, but Death Row's performing, you know what I'm saying? Suge Knight gives his famous speech. You know, Nas is kind of feeling like, you know, he put out this album that everybody loves, but he's not really winning the awards. Outkast feeling like, what about us in the South? You know what I'm saying? Snoop saying to New York, like, yo, y'all don't love us? Again, it changed so many things, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a mess. I blame the source. It was just a big mess, and it showed how young hip-hop was, because now hip-hop was getting to a point where we were getting bigger. We were making more money. You know what I'm saying? Cats were becoming millionaires. And we did not know what to do with all of that new attention. You know what I'm saying? So I think I wouldn't change anything about it, because I think in a lot of respects it gave us a lot of great conversation about, those times. I think it gave us probably some classic albums. Some true blue Nas fans may hate this, but it gave us Nas Esco, and don't just think Nas Esco means the Firm album. It also means it was written, and it also means, Eye for an Eye, and Verbal Intercourse. All of that was Nas Esco. So let's not just go to the whack stuff and say I hate the Esco era. No, a lot of dope Nas came out of the Esco era. It gave us Outkast. You know what I'm saying? Outkast was there before, but they probably were pushing the limits a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Goody Mob, Organized Noise were probably pushing the limits of what they could do and accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of dope stuff came out of it. Some bad. It is what it is. But nevertheless, I feel like, what could you compare it to? What can you say was more important than that night? That affected hip-hop completely as a whole. You know what I'm saying? You could think about something like Scott LaRock dying and how hip-hop felt with that, but that was also more of a New York thing. Sure, there were other fans outside of that, but that was more of a New York thing. This was West Coast dudes on the stage, South dudes on the stage, Brooklyn cats on the stage. Like, this was all of hip-hop in one night, and it was just, it's crazy, you know what I'm saying? And the last question I have is from the homie JR's World of Soul. He says, I got a question, bro. As an MC back in 1994, if you had the chance to do an album, which producer would you want to do the whole thing? Large Professor, Pete Rock, Primo, Q-Tip, and why? So I'm thinking about 1994, which is the year I actually started rapping. Fun fact. And a producer to do the whole album, but this is the producer's work from 1994. I'm gonna say give me Primo. Q-Tip was dope, but Primo was more my speed, especially if you're talking about 1994. Give me that whole Group Home album. I mean, Premier Beats would just make me wanna write. Like, new Gangstar album drop, or he produced something for somebody else that I'm just like, I'm ready to write my own verses. That's going to do it for the questions. I enjoyed answering all these questions, you know what I'm saying? And please know that you can leave some comments and some other questions in this comment section below. But check out my podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts. All you got to do is in the search bar, type in Hip Hop Now Podcast and get locked in. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Drop it on the random.